Hey guys, this is Tiffany, and you found me on the Wise Skies channel for the September astrology forecast of 2021. And so, if I could put a big theme to it, there's a lot of things happening in the Libra justice card realm. So, just focusing on our internal justice systems, what's right for us may not be right for somebody else. So, not putting what we think is right for us on anybody else, and just kind of going inward and continuing to feel into, how do I feel about this? Does this feel fair and right? Am I okay with this situation, or do I need to make some adjustments, right? So, in September, I like to start the forecast with a little numerology check-in. September will switch from a 4 to a 5 month, and we're in a 5 year. So that's 2 5s. It's a double rainbow. It's a lot of extroverted energy. If you look at the 5 on your hand, you can see energy going out. You might also see energy coming in. It just depends, but it's something is moving, something is breaking loose, and a lot of times that movement can be experienced as uncomfortable. One of my mentors says, if I'm uncomfortable and they're unhappy, we're probably growing. We're probably going through some growing pains in September. Um, again, this is extroverted energy. So if you like that, then this is your month to go all out, and if you don't like that, if you're more comfortable being more quiet and inside, just be careful that you don't overcommit, that you don't spread yourself too thin. It is very dynamic energy that it's like, look, if there's two, it's almost like a fireworks situation, right? So how can you use this adventurous energy to your advantage without experiencing burnout by the end of September? That's really what we want to care about, so that you're not burned out by the end of September, that you haven't taken on so much in your excitement, you know? If you're feeling overwhelmed in the month of September, you can ask yourself, what do I want to be free from? You know, what do I want to be free from? How do I want to recalibrate my energy? What could I let go of instead of add on to? The astrology, the general overview, there's 3 big things I want to talk about. Well, then we'll do at a glance, and then we'll do week by week. So, Mercury will retrograde for the 3rd time in an air sign for the 3rd time this year. And this will happen in Libra. Okay. And so, again, that importance of not overcommitting, of not forcing decisions, of trying to kind of get even, get steady, drive down the middle of the road instead of going bar ditch to bar ditch, right? What would really benefit you if you pushed pause instead of went forward, forward, forward? I'm not saying don't go forward at all. I'm saying you're probably going to have so many opportunities coming your way, so many ideas, so many 7 of Cups feeling coming at you. We want to be really choosy and selective with our personal energy and what we are going to be committing to. This Mercury in retrograde in Libra we'll talk a little bit more about later, but the idea is, Mercury, and there's this sense of precision, this sense of craftsmanship, this sense of fine tuning, right? And what are we trying to fine tune is our communication skills, our relationships. These are going to be 2 big themes to work on throughout the month of September. Another one why I keep saying, like, look at yourself, is that we've got the sun trining Pluto 3 times this year, normal transit, but it increases these opportunities to shed old skins, to kind of stand in the light of awareness of your own identity instead of maybe the version that you think that other people think that you are. Does that make sense? The sun and Pluto working together are very transformative at the personal level, at the ego level, at the soul level. And so you're really going to be able to next level yourself, to next version yourself. And a lot of times when we do that, when we're in that growth period, it can be uncomfortable for everybody around us. It can be uncomfortable for ourselves. But what you can't do is stagnate and be still and do the same old thing. When the snake sheds its skin, it's going forward. So there's some element of, like, your ship sailing, right? Like, get in that boat, like, go forward with your life if you want to. You have free will. You don't have to, but it will be uncomfortable if you stay in that old skin. Does that make sense? The sun trines Pluto March 16th earlier this year, so we got a hint about it. May 17th, an opportunity to pause, pivot, gain new insights came about ourselves around May, it's spring. And then this third and final opportunity is September 16th. And so just look for a new experience, you know? What might you be willing to change your mind about? It's not that everybody else is wrong. It's like, how can you see it from another perspective with all that Libra, right? It's the astrology at a glance, and then we'll go into the week by week. At a glance, on the 6th, we've got a new moon in Virgo. Excellent time to organize, clean house, go through the old junk drawers, clean out the garage, organize all your folders and drive. You know, I get bad about that. Sometimes I'll just like let all my stuff gunk up on my home screen, and then I'll have to just drag and drop and put stuff in folders and organize. New moon in Virgo, great energy for that. Fine tuning your processes, fine tuning your strategies, right? Fine tuning things like this. The Virgo is also an earth sign. So if you guys are planting fall gardens and you're looking for a date to get in the dirt, get in the earth, that new moon in Virgo is a great time for that. On the 10th, Venus will enter Scorpio. Very seductive vibe. Venus ruling relationships, the goddess of both love and money in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio can be a big power player when it comes to money, and it can also be a great manipulator, controller. It can also be a great transformer, radiator of massive change. You know, Scorpio isn't all just bad, evil scorpion, right? Like the Scorpio is also reflected by the eagle, by the Sphinx, by that one that has transformed and taken flight. So when Scorpio is on its very best behavior, this can be about really changing your relationships at a higher magnitude. It's also going to allow you to see where some relationships have been dirty or dark or need cleaning up. So relationships with your finances, how you are with your money, relationships with your people, you know, how you are with your tribe, relationships with yourself and your higher power. Okay, like I'm like a flight attendant all of a sudden when I get halfway into the thing. And your higher powers over here, right? All right, so on the 13th, we've got a first quarter moon in Sag, bringing us a little new life, new adventure, really honing in on that 5-5 numerology. On the 14th, Mars will enter Libra, and I just encourage everybody to try and find a win-win situation. You know, this is a month of compromise, where things are shifting and sorting, and you're having to not only see what's fair and balanced for you, but also compromise with other people. That's what Mars in Libra will energize halfway through the month. So on the 20th, we've got a full moon in Pisces. On the 22nd, the sun will enter Libra. We'll get some more restoration. On the 27th, Mercury will retrograde in Libra through October 18th. So pushing pause, fine tuning. On the 28th, there's a last quarter moon in 6 degrees of Cancer. So another opportunity to tidy up. So it feels like lots of opportunities to tidy up, tighten up. If you're somebody whose business has a lot of different contracts, it's time to fine tune those, tweak those. You know what I mean? If you're somebody who doesn't have any contracts or doesn't have any, it's very fluid and it's just go with the flow. Maybe it's time to put some structure around some things, making sure that things feel fair and balanced. Okay, so let's shift into the weekly overviews. I've tried to make these a little bit more succinct. We'll see if I have succeeded or not. The first week of September, the 1st through the 5th, again, I'm just suggesting that we conserve our energy. Mars will be opposing Neptune, which happens to be retrograde. And, you know, Mars is like where we have energy and Neptune is where it dissipates and fades. So I'm just saying, conserve your energy. Don't poke the bear, right? There are 4 kind of key strategies that children or adult children will use to try to get love when they don't have love. These are things like revenge. These are things like feeling like they're not capable, like, oh, I can't do it. You've got to do it for me. These are things like power struggles. What is the 4th one? It's probably the most obvious one. Like provoking, you know, being poking the bear, basically. And so if you notice some of the adults in your life, or even some of the kids in your life that just need your attention, it's like the mom's on the phone and the kid all of a sudden needs something, that is an undisturbed, that is a disturbed nervous system where an exchange of love has kind of gone off course. Like they need, something's out of balance here. And so all that Libra energy is going to help us recalibrate that, so that we can be more conscious, more aware of how we are, how present we are with the people that we love, how present we are with the people that we're just having normal day-to-day interactions with. So really conserve your energy. Try not to poke the bear. This whole transit can bring out like some inferiority complexes. You know what I mean? And so we're just going to be aware of that. And for those wounded healers, right, that are out there practicing, like that's who you can say blessings over. Anybody that's having an inferiority complex, we just ask blessings for them to come back to themselves, for them to realize their own state of power, their empowerment, realize how connected they are to source, right? In love and money that week, there are some skewed perceptions going on. Venus will in conjunct Neptune retrograde. I feel like it's just time to explore some alternative options and or renew commitments. Things have to break down before they can be built back up. That's because you need a new foundation. And so that it's like that for both love and money. Sunday the 5th looks like a big hot mess. Steamy, hot, breakdown, breakthrough. Venus will semi-sextile Mars and square Pluto. And Mars will trine Pluto. So it's like, it looks very volatile to me, and it can be volatile good, but it can also be volatile crazy, right? So that weekend, circling like the 4th and the 5th, just go slow, right? Then nobody gets hurt. If you're having a big, huge reaction, that's when we take a pause, recenter ourselves, and realize that this too shall pass, and figure out what's real and what's honest and how you personally feel. All right, in the second week, September 6th through 12th, there's some more sparks flying. I think it's going to be the good kind. I think this is where like that 5-5 energy will come into play in like good for us, where it's time to just, try something different, make a new friend, answer the phone, go for it, say yes, look for something that's forward facing in your life. The sun will trine Uranus retrograde. Mars will in conjunct Jupiter retrograde. So it's like, as long as you're focusing on your own growth, I think you're going to be really happy that week. If you interfere, which I am guilty of, and I usually can see it, and I can usually apologize for it. But if you're interfering because you're trying to help somebody else, there's an Anne Lamott quote this week that is for you. She says, help is just the sunny side of control. So this idea that helping other people actually hinders them. This idea that even your best intentions gets in the way of their own progress. I'm going to say something that I just want to be clear that I'm very politically neutral, but you can see some of this in the global news, right? You can see where the U.S. has backed out of Afghanistan, where there's a changing in relationships. There's a change in the power in relationships. There's a side that feels this way and a side that feels that way. And there's certain people that feel very empowered and certain people that feel very disempowered. There are all kinds of views and perceptions on what should be done and what shouldn't be done. If it was perfect, we wouldn't be having all of these ideas and views. But the idea here is that sometimes helping can hurt people. And you see it in the global news, and you see it in your own life too. Are you paying a debt for something that is not your debt to pay? This is a question to ask ourselves. So it's not all deep and heavy, Scorpio Tiffany. You can really tap into your inner Einstein this week too. Mercury is going to oppose Chiron and in conjunct Uranus. I just feel like there's a lot of Uranian energy that week. So if you're shifting gears that midweek, shift into something that's just positive, like that's all. And can you shift into something without judgment about it? Does it have to be right or wrong, right? Can we just be at peace and accept what is and shift wherever we want to shift as co-creators of this precious human life? In love and money, I want you to circle September 6th. as maybe the best day for getting lucky in love and money. The planetary influences that day do increase your love, your worth, your finances. Trying a new approach tends to work. Venus will trine Jupiter retrograde, and the new moon, and the sun. The new moon is that day, and the sun will trine Uranus retrograde. I just feel like there's a lot of good juju going on that day, and it's right after a lot of heavy juju. So if you're like, heavy, hate this month, not going well for me, just keep waiting, because the weather will change. It's like we say in Texas, right? Just if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, it'll change. I think that was Texas years ago, because right now it's just hot. Right? All right. So September 6th is when we've got that new moon in Virgo. A new moon intention for you guys, if you want to journal it, is that I find clarity, serenity, and joy in the journey, right? So we want to make wishes around health, things that are ruled by Virgo: health, organization, anything that requires attention to detail. This phase is about new beginnings. It's a great time to set new intentions, having to do with the house wherever 14 degrees of Virgo is in your chart. So if you're looking at your chart and you know where 14 degrees of Virgo is, you'll be able to find that house, and you'll be able to add an extra layer of wishes or intentions. What else could you do? Virgo is kind of old school, and with the new moon, maybe there's a way for you to blend the old with the new, to blend the wisdom of the ancients with the modernization of your technology, right? Like there's something there where you can blend the old with the new. This is a great time to start new health routines. So if you're ready to make some changes in terms of your personal health, self-inquiry, these are the things that make your life better. These are the things that make your life full of vitality and joy and worth living, right? So new health routines, great option for that new moon. Organization, cleanliness, mountain air. Whenever I think of Virgo, I think of those mountain peaks. So I think of mountain air. It's also an awesome time to change your address numerology. And then you can detox, purge, cleanse, go through the closets, all that stuff again on the full moon. So just some ideas for you to play with. On the 10th, we talked about Venus entering Scorpio. So we're still in week 2, just doing the weekly overviews. In week 2, on the 10th, Venus will enter Scorpio. So this is where we start to get inspired, to get curious about the mysteries of life and love, and just falling in love with the uncertainty of things. There's magic available in the uncertainty of things. Like you have to have some level of faith, some level of action, but that your love life can take on a deeper, saucier, sexier tone. Your finances can get a boost. You can get a rude awakening for where there has been an imbalance of power. You can use this to your advantage to feel more empowered with love and money. But if you're like, what the heck are you talking about? My boss is a thief, something like this going on. I've been there. I understand what that feels like. It floats up for you, and then it comes to the surface. You can't ignore it anymore, right? So whether you're on the heavy side or the happy side of this Venus in Scorpio, you can be aware of it and start to breathe through what exactly is. And you don't have to focus on changing anything. You can accept what is just by breathing through it, realizing it, and then taking your awareness to focus on what you'd like to see done differently. All right, so week 3, September 13th through 19th. Things aren't necessarily going as planned by this time of the month. I want you to be aware of symbols, of metaphors, of hidden agendas. Probably there's some mental illness, probably lots of propaganda continuing. Mercury is going to inconjunct Neptune retrograde. Mercury rules how we think, how we process information, our learning systems, our languages. And Neptune dissolves, fades away. It's in retrograde, and that's an unhappy, like the inconjunct is not our favorite, right? It means that there will be delays, that other people's decisions will affect us in a big way. And so it's hard to predict for you individually how that's going to shake out. What I can do as an astrologer is give you some samples and examples of ideas and you'll be like, oh yeah, that seems to make sense for my life too. So how could that work? somebody else's decisions. Mercury tends to dissolve something that's going on in our personal zone, Neptune, right? And so somebody decides to drive drunk, right? That's a bad behavior of this Mercury in conjunct Neptune retrograde. So somebody decides to drive drunk and it's life changing for other people. Somebody decides to, the bank decides to call in a loan, and all of a sudden you're owing a whole lot of money that you weren't planning for. You're living in a rent house and somebody decides to sell their house, and all of a sudden your life dissolves and you've got to move forward. It's not bad. It's uncomfortable, but it's like that type of a thing, right? Somebody else's ideas dissolve something for me, and I wasn't quite prepared, right? So there's that to play with. What else? In love and money that week, that third week of September, I'm going to say just tackle the important things earlier in the week. Time, expenses, people, the weight of responsibility, all of that, all of those like day-to-day, daily Virgo things come a little bit sticky, become stickier at the end of the week because Venus is going to square Saturn retrograde. And so let's just get the important stuff done first and just go softly into the rest of the week. On the 13th, we do get a first quarter moon in 21 degrees of Sagittarius. When I think of Sagittarius and the moon, I think about your bucket list of travel. Maybe that's like the wrong thing to say at this point of our pandemic journey, but the idea here is that you could write a bucket list for something in your life. Maybe it's not travel. Maybe that's just me because I have Sag rising, but maybe you've got some sort of accomplishment or bucket list or something else that you could put on like a list of sorts, and then start a plan to execute that. Just one item, just start a plan so that some of your life priorities are getting addressed this year, because this is a 5-year. I think a lot of us are going to get to the end of the year and be like, what happened? Where did the year go? What did I do with my time? And so this is one of those little plugs, one of those little moments where you can be like, oh, okay, I've got a plan. I've always wanted to see this particular movie, and I've got a plan to watch it on Friday. It can be simple like that. It can be big. It can be, I've always wanted to sit in the hot springs at this particular national park. I know that they're open this week, and I'm going to make a plan to get there. I'm going to save X amount of dollars to be, stuff like that. I've always wanted to take my 300 yoga teacher training. I see there's one coming up online that's virtual this fall. I'm going to sign up for it. Stuff like that, right? First quarter moon in Sag, just like go for it. It's a yang phase. It's where whatever you get determined about works, right? That's where we have that Midas touch moment of the month. On the 14th, Mars will enter Libra. We talked about that being like a stimulating a win-win. It'll be there all the way through October 30th, so all of October. And while that sounds great, and it is great, the energy can also like, yes, great. And then the spectrum of where could it go wrong is in the people-pleasing, enabling categories. These are very disempowering to other people. This is when you make a decision for somebody that either didn't ask you to or asked you to. Either way, it's their decision to make, right? So you can intuit for them, you can psychically guess for them, you can practically, logically tell them what they're doing wrong and right, but they've got to do it for themselves. And you've got to do it for yourself. So don't go around asking everybody. Make sure who you're asking is helping you on the path of self-enlightenment and growth, right? So where can you find a balance there? Where can you find a balance where other people are happy, you're happy, staying focused on your own internal justice system, what's right for me, how can you stand up for yourself without hurting the other person, basically. So my invitation to work with that is yoga and meditation. Yoga and meditation, just moving the body with the breath as like a metronome, and then sitting still for 20 minutes, just observing the breath come in through the nose, out the nose. No thoughts are needed, no extra music. If there's just distraction, great. You're getting to practice even more. So just shutting your eyes 20 minutes every day, and you will rebalance a lot of the mental chatter going on. Okay, we've got 5 weeks. So week 4, September 20th through 26th, this is a time when we can start to trust divine right timing. Astrology is like a big clock in the sky, and Mercury and Saturn. Like there are certain players that are more clock-like than others. Mercury is one of them, and it will be trine a retrograde Jupiter. And so this is actually a great time where people will like plan business or legal affairs or higher quest type stuff, Jupiter stuff. This is a moment where you can have a win, basically, that week of the 20th through the 26th. There are some caution lights midweek because Mercury will go on to square Pluto. So there can be some misrepresentation going on, some deception, some dishonesty. It might not be blatant dishonesty. It can be lying by omission. It can be just somebody's not being true with themselves, and therefore they're coming out like as something that they're not, and it's hard to know like what you're making a deal with. And so that's why all month long we're just gonna tap back into that theme, learning how to be okay in the highs and the lows, learning to be okay in the stillness even when there's adventure and exciting things going on. I had two situations, a dream and another in-person situation, come up that reminds me of the energy of this week. And it really has to do with, just because it's a good deal doesn't mean you have to take it. Just because it's a good deal doesn't mean you have to take it. There's a lot of doubt going on, and it's worthwhile to pause. So in love and money that week, the treasure really, we got to remember that the treasure's inside, right? So we're not looking for love, adoration, and gratitude outside of ourselves coming in. We're giving that to ourselves, and that's what's like pumping and illuminating our own light, our ability to be of service to other people, our ability to feel loved and stable. Right? So Venus is going to in conjunct Chiron retrograde, and that's where it's like, ooh, like, are you breaking your own heart, basically? Are you breaking your own heart? Are you looking for love in the wrong places? We just want to come back to that self again. Opposites attract. We've got Venus opposing Uranus retrograde that week. So it's time to diversify. It's time to look at how you can blend some of your wacky interests, right? So for me, that's like Wise Skies metaphysical stuff with Spellbound Publishers, my book company, my book publishing company. So how can I blend those two together and come up with a new book? You know what I mean? So there's how can I like, I even started writing the transits of book publishing, so that's kind of fun if you want to geek out on that with me. But the idea is that you're blending some of your interesting hobbies. Okay, maybe you want to push up against what you're not used to. Maybe you want to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. We're going to be aware of unexpected expenses and curveballs as well, because Uranus is unpredictable, right? So we can't predict it, and here we are in astrology land trying to predict it. On the 20th, we'll have a full moon in Pisces. It's in 28 degrees of Pisces. The full moon intention is, my experience feels whole and soul self-aligned. My experience feels whole and soul self-aligned. And the third time is, my experience feels whole and soul self-aligned. So emotions get really high when we've got a full moon in Pisces. In medical astrology, the moon governs the fluids in the body, right? So without grossing you out, a lot of people will experience headaches or expansion or bloating around the full moon. And in a watery Pisces sign, that's a lot. That's a lot of water going on. That's a lot of expansion through the water realm. So if you're having some headaches, if you're having some extra weight, if you're embodying an emotional experience, this is a time when you're going to see it more, right? So this embodying water has to do with an old survival mechanism, like an old an old reptilian brain function of holding on to water, retaining water, because you think you're going to die, so it's serious when your body gets to that stage. And so, just being aware of that. Not everybody's at that stage. Maybe you need a different message. Maybe you need a message that drinking more water will cleanse, purify, and detox your system. Maybe you need the message to get around a body of water. Maybe you're wanting to be in some hot springs and get more minerals in your body through that way. Maybe you need to sweat and what's the word? Maybe you need to sweat. All right, so Pisces tends to not have a whole lot of boundaries, right? So Pisces is, the full moon in Pisces is a time where we could start to find some healthy boundaries. Where have I overcommitted again? Where have I said yes but meant no? Where have I let something slide that actually isn't okay with me? You know, how can you have compassion for yourself and the other person, the other people in your life, where you can just kind of get balanced again with yourself, you know, and so that you're not feeling any guilt or shame or remorse, but you're just saying, oh, I'm learning more about myself, and I actually can't do that every single Friday, right? Like I'm learning that it's going to be better for my energy if I just commit to one a month. You know, something like that looks like healthy boundaries. Um, it could be simple. You could be finishing an inspirational book. You could have, maybe one of your bucket list things was that you were going to finally read the Mahabharata or the book of one of Rumi's books or something big and grand and poetic, right? Maybe this is a time when you finish it. Maybe you're watching a really cool series, and this is a time to finish it. Again, detoxifying the mind, the body, the living spaces, they all work together. So getting more and more clear. The sun will enter Libra on the 22nd, so happy birthday to all of our Libras. You got Libra birthdays the 22nd through October 22nd. So if you want to gift your Libra with a reading, we welcome you to get a gift certificate with us at wiseskiescollective.com. You know, we've got a lot of readers. They're very special people. We have birthday readings too that are a lot of fun, that give you a planetary tone of the year as well as tarot cards for your year. Okay, moving into the last week of September. This is September 27th through 30th. Again, like that pump the brakes energy is showing up. Mercury Retrograde is coming in. It's going to delay some things. Something's going to need more of your attention. Where do we benefit from pushing pause instead of steamrolling forward? In love and money, and you know, I'm saying maybe get inspired on the 29th, like tap into your muse, that romance, fantasy, creative side of you. Venus will trine Neptune retrograde. So that's kind of cool. But then, you know, don't miss the forest for the trees, because Venus is going to then square Jupiter. And that gets like stickier. That's like sugar overload. That's like diabetic coma. That's like, it's also kind of smarmy, you know, it's like buttering up the boss, or like those, you know, like I can't do that as a Scorpio, right? But the idea is that there's the energy is more potent around kind of excess in the sweet department. Okay, so in love and money, again, getting inspired, working with your creative juices, and also just not getting like too much, you know. So if on the new moon you were set out for a new health routine and one of your goals was less sugar in your life, this is a moment where you like can't pass it up, you know. And so just knowing that this is like, let's prepare for that. Let's have some healthy snacks ready. Let's keep the mind focused on something else. And just like you would if you were mothering a very active toddler, you have a next plan. You're not just going to be like, yeah, it's Saturday, hang out. You're going to have something for that child's mind to do, right? Like you're going to have multiple arts and crafts stations set up. You're going to have something that's going to wear them out physically, a game of tag, a game of hide and seek. Like, I hate that game. I don't know about you, but that game scares me. So that is not one that we did in my house when I got to be the adult. But the idea is that you're going to set yourself up for success by having a lot of different options. So you're not going to have ice cream in the house, you know what I mean? You're going to have thoughtfully come up with something that your mind can chew on instead of sugar. So that's one example, right? This could play out for you in a variety of different ways. The idea is that there's a sweet thing going on, very creative, interesting, and then too much. If you're a painter, this is like you got the painting just perfect, and then you just go overboard and do too much. If you're getting dressed up for work, this is when you put on just the right amount of jewelry, and then you put on something extra and it's just too much, and now it's tacky. So you get the idea. By the way, speaking of jewelry, these are from my new friend in Santa Fe, Shah. These are made by Afghani women, and I can't think of the shop, but I am wearing them with much pride and love for the people. Okay, so September 27th, Mercury will retrograde into 25 degrees of Libra. So knowing where 25 degrees of Libra is in your chart can help you know what you need to revisit, where you need to slow down. where you might be questioning things in your life. It's very subtle energy, but it helps you with just staying curious, staying curious. How can we co-create instead of me versus you, us versus them? Like I'm just so tired of that mentality. It's so hard for me to watch us versus them. There's no them, So start to put your face on everybody. Start to put your face on everybody and treat them with respect. And just again, knowing that what's best for somebody else might not be best for me. I'm going to treat them with that same respect and dignity as I wish to be treated, right? Simple. So let's see. Normal Mercury retrograde issues apply, right? Electronics go hinky. Not the best time to buy new electronic stuff. Get your gas, get your oil changed before then. Make sure the plugs are working. Be prepared for weird power outages or stuff like that. Just stuff goes a little bit hinky. So when does that end? October 18th in 10 degrees of Libra. Wrapping up the month, we've got a last quarter moon in 6 degrees of Cancer on the 28th. And this is the time when you can really loosen your sense of control. We're not in control. We do have free will, but we can loosen, lighten up a little bit, let go a little bit, start to see where the stream of life is taking you. The last quarter is a yin phase, and in Cancer is a very intuitive vibe. And so where can you trust? Where can you surrender? Where can you let things take their course? Right? Where can you let things take their course? Wherever 6 degrees of Cancer is. Looking ahead into October is going to bring some opportunities to really synthesize the year thus far. In numerology, it's cool because it'll shift into a 6, and that's going to be a preview of the 6th year in 2022. So what's going on in October energetically is kind of like a preview or a foreshadowing of what's going on in the year 2022 from a numerology perspective. That six is the number that I like to change my address numerology to often. It's if you look at the 6, it kind of embodies a pregnant woman, that period of fertility, that period of nesting, that period of taking care of your energy, including your inner child, including all of the realms of self-care, including getting out the blankets and getting the pumpkin scented everything going and getting into those fall vibes of that internal where the weather shifts, hopefully for us in Texas. I just love October. It's my favorite month of the year. We have some special guests in our October membership. And if the membership is new to you, it's just $22 a month. And it includes an all-access pass to my past core classes that we've offered through Wise Skies. It also, I do a Astro Tarot. If you guys see my free Tarot Fridays, I'll read for each sign, Aries through Pisces. But in the membership, I do a deeper dive. I use several different decks, and I give you a kind of a personal touch. Like astrology is the anchor, right? And then tarot kind of helps make it personalize it somewhat, right? So I do that for each sign for the month. And then we have a special guest or a special healing or reading that is for the group. So like in our August, we did a tarot repatterning based on self-image. In September, we have a medical medium doing a group healing for us, helping us rebalance our chakras, realign our meridians, our internal systems, all of that. It's a beautiful work. And so that will continue. So October, I'm not going to announce yet because we're still pretty early in that, but that's what's going on in September for the month that we're forecasting. I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of other ideas about the month as it unfolds. So if you want to kind of keep up with the day-to-day spark or inspiration, I encourage you to follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Pinterest a little bit, just a little bit, Twitter just a little bit. And of course, you can always get this written down for you at wiseskiescollective.com. In the background, we're making the website. We're redoing the website again. I think it's going to be the last time I do that. So I'm really looking forward to this masterpiece and sharing it with you guys. I know there's a sea of astrologers out there. I know there's a lot of people that have many various ways of interpreting the planets. It's something I've been studying for about 20 years, believe it or not. And so I'm always honored to see your comments when you like, when you subscribe, and my phone dings, and I see that. It just warms my heart so much. It makes me feel fulfilled. So thank you for contributing and participating. If there's anything in the message that has rung true for you and you'd like to make a virtual tip, we accept those through PayPal and Venmo, and it goes to help with all of the Wise Skies platforms. So with all that, I hope everybody has a really fascinating, curious September where you're doing a lot of self-inquiry, where you're rebalancing, recalibrating some things, and where we get and we give a lot of respect, a lot of love back out into a very chaotic planetary year. All right, so until we can work together again, guys, namaste and thank you.